Good morning or afternoon or evening, whatever time it is that you're listening this today. Thank you so much for jumping on to Hope. My name is Tammy Lynn Connors. This is my new friend, Tim Holloway. How are you today, Tim?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, thank you. So I always say that God, the universe, whatever you want to say, puts people in your lives for specific reasons. And those of you that do not know, this is Hope, helping other people evolve. And my vision and mission here is just to help others get through a struggle to get to a strength. So how I do that is I interview people and I find people, well, I should say the God, universe, however you want to say it, puts people in my lives. And Tim is a perfect example of that. I was waitressing at the diner, Sunrise Skillet, on a Sunday or Saturday afternoon. I don't remember which one it was, but him and his cousin were sitting out on the patio. And I kind of joked with them both a little bit because they're Buckeye fans and I'm a Michigan fan. And then somehow we got talking about hope. I'm not sure how that happened, but we started talking about hope. I gave both of them my card. And that was probably about 6 weeks ago, right, Tim?
A little past that, I believe. Yep,
Yeah,
about 6 weeks.
yeah. So on my card, I have like my phone number, my Instagram, and my Facebook. And I got this message from Tim on Instagram just saying, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me." And of course, I did remember you. And it was pretty humbling and heartwarming to me that you reached out. And he said, "I have a story of hope I'd like to share with others." And is this your first time really kind of sharing your story?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the first time I reached out to any platform to want to speak to other people and encourage people. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'm super excited. We talked on the phone last week a little bit, and I'm super excited to hear Tim's story of hope. He has an amazing story of hope. And like I always say, if our stories can inspire one person to get out of bed that day, then our mission is accomplished. So this is an amazing story of hope. And I'm going to go ahead and let you go ahead and start, Tim. And if you need me to interject anywhere, or I may interject because I do that sometimes too, just to give a little perspective, but you can go ahead and get started.
Okay, so thank you for turning over the floor to me. So I want to start out by just giving a little backstory on how I was brought up. I was adopted at the age of before one actually, and I went through two foster parents before finally settling with one final one. So that was kind of like the starter point. But with that being said, I was also diagnosed with alcohol fetal syndrome, and I had cocaine. I tested positive for cocaine, and then I would say it didn't affect too much. I went through school with I wouldn't say a disability. I had like attention deficit where they call it ADHD. So I was like kind of put on all the Ritalin and stuff like that. So it's kind of like uh, normal stuff growing up. Pretty rebellious naturally. Um, and then as I grew up, I noticed that some of the things that were considered obstacles, shall you say, were strengths in a way. You know what I'm saying? Because had I not been at certain places at certain times, there's no telling where I would be today without those. So it's kind of like looking at those struggles as a strength in the whole because, um, we think about all of the hurt that we carry around on a daily as far as how would it feel not to have a parent or how would it feel not to have this person or that person or where would I be if I had that person. And I kind of say that, that was the start of my journey. But on the way, like discovering who I really was, I ran into life itself. You know, you run into drinking and then smoking and falling, victim to addiction. I kind of did that for like 10 years, and then one day I said, "This is enough." You know what I'm saying? Like this is not the answer to every struggle that you have, or this is not the answer to every um situation that pop up in your life. So I quit smoking and I quit drinking. And I kind of wanted to handle things and build my mental strength because that's a problem with a lot of people. We can't build mental strength, so we use dependence and stuff like that to kind of help us forget the pain or how something made us feel. But the truth about it is, it's not really a deterrent. So you know, I kind of got over that part, and now we're here. Now I try to inspire other people to be better than what they are or what they came from, no matter the story, no matter the situation.
That's awesome. Do you got something distracting you over there? It's
Yeah,
funny
hold on.
because well, I have my son's dog. She was kind of whining at me right now, and I was like, "What
Right,
is she want?" So I asked his roommate to let her out, and she's just staring at him. So I'm like, "Darn it!" So, anyways, yeah. So that's awesome, and it's great that you're out here and willing to share that with others because I feel like, and especially, I interview a lot of men for some reason. I don't know if that's what's attracting to my what I'm doing right now to actually have men finally come out and share their stories of hope because I think a lot of times with men, especially you guys, I mean, I don't know because I'm not a man, but that you're told, keep, just keep your feelings in, keep your emotions in. You don't have to like share anything of, things that you've been through a struggle because you're a man and you got through it, right? But
right,
I believed him like with you sharing your story that helps others know that it's okay to share your story and sharing your story brings hope to other people.
right. That's the goal. So
Yeah.
like throughout my journey, I kind of became like a wise man. When I finally settled in and kind of like embraced what I was receiving, because I never really had a source for it. Like I woke up one day and like I wanted to be a better person, but in my heart, throughout my whole life, I always was a good person. It was just the things that was in life that was stopping that. So I would kind of like go against peer pressure and go against stuff that was actually a thing because it can be if you let it, you know what I'm saying? And go against who it might influence. And like you look at a lot of stuff you do in life and say, I can't do that because of my peers. I can't take
Right.
this walk of life because these people won't agree with it. Or even if it's in your family, a lot of people around you are a major part of what you do in your everyday um, life. So I think that's a thing that once I finally said I just want to be me, it was a little easier to step in them shoes and kind of take that walk. And it encouraged today because it was always something that I wanted to do. It just wasn't accepted, or it wasn't it was a scary jump out there and just take a leap of
Yeah.
faith and try and see where you get with it. So I think with just sharing the emotional stance in my life could help another person get over theirs. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, like you say, especially men, we don't embrace it because we're told not to. Um, so with that being said, I think it's a good journey that a platform that you have to give other people hope. You know,
Yes. And that's
so
exactly what I'm doing here. And I know you shared a little bit of just like you're growing up and with your mom. And if you could maybe go through that a little bit with me, just kind of like you growing up, I mean, two different races, basically, right?
okay, so my mom, my birth mother is white, right? And then so I guess my dad is black. I wouldn't really know too much of like their bloodline because I don't have as much information as I would like. But that's kind of like a touchy situation today because you have some parts of America that's still like stuck on this race thing, and then you got me where it's like, okay, you are you have to pick a side when it comes to certain consequences and certain things that you experience in life. And it's like I'm stuck in between because most people wouldn't even know. Like my background was, you know, the side that y'all don't agree with most of the time. And I'm like, hey, it's good on either side.
We have a little pause here for a
Yeah.
second.
Pause for a second.
It's okay. We can pause. I can talk. Believe me, I can always find something to talk about. So, it's and I know that you have two children now, right? Is that what you said?
Okay, we back. We back.
Okay.
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Now we
Hold
back.
on.
Okay, we're good.
We're back. Perfect. So this is what I want to tell everybody real quick why we're doing this a little bit like we're back and the dog. This is just what I do. This is I'm not in a studio, I'm not, anything like that. I just have my laptop. I send somebody a link and we just do this and it's just us coming from our hearts. So when you hear distractions and things like that, that's why. It's just we're just here, we're just doing this, and we're just speaking like we're sitting in a coffee shop together or something, just sharing our stories. So what I asked is, you have two kids now, correct?
Yep, two kids of my own.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's something that I try to like as far as like how we were raised, I try to do it a little differently with them and try to be more open as far as like letting them make decisions on their own and teaching them how to be independent at a young age, because that's another thing that you grow up with is once you experience a trauma in your life of any sort, you kind of are shelled because of however your household is ran. So if they're
Hmm.
not open, you're not able to speak. If you're not comfortable, you're not able to speak. If it's just like if you're not understanding, who else can that child talk to? So you kind of grow up with it, and you kind of can hear it sometimes if a person get real mad or they get intoxicated. Them same problems that they went through or experienced when they was younger come out, and that's something that I didn't want my kids to experience. So, as far as me parenting now, I try to give them more space to be open and free with their emotions because I
Hmm.
don't want that to become that could become a trauma, and I don't want it to. Like dad didn't listen to me, and this is how I had to handle this, that, and the third. So I kind of like remember how I felt just not having nobody, and I try to be as much as possible as I can for them and give them the floor. Like this is their world now. After I had them, my life stopped and it was all about them. So I try not to be selfish. Um, equip them with the mental capacity, just kind of build it for them because they don't they
Yes.
don't really know what's going on until you as a superhero
Right.
introduce it to them. So um,
Yes.
you know, I just try to be a voice really
Yeah.
and share, my strength because a lot of my strengths wasn't always strengths. They wasn't just I woke up one day and I was like I'm strong. Um,
Right.
it was more so me having more understanding and more patience and forgiving myself way more than I
Mm.
was in the beginning. When we first experience something, we hard on ourselves. We're our biggest critic. We like I can't do it. I never do it. So much of the negative stuff is into play when you first experience something. And as long as you let it control you, it will feed
Yes.
off you, and that's one thing that I can say is as people, no matter your race, no matter where you come from, no matter how you was raised, is people out here that, are understanding and, are they come from that same beginning stage. Like we
Hmm.
started here, we don't have to end here. We can keep going. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And
Yes.
it's kind of like that's where I found my strength at when I started getting up and I started walking away from what was affecting me, and I started saying I'm not going to let this control me anymore. I won't let this addiction be what is nurturing my me anymore. So
Yes.
um I do believe in therapy, and I do think that speaking to people is therapeutic.
Mhm.
A lot of us don't speak though. A
Yes.
lot of us
Yeah.
don't speak, and it's not because we don't want to speak. It's just because you feel like you'll be judged if you do speak. You'll be criticized, and nobody will agree with you. Well, one thing about that is you're not talking for people to agree with you because most of the time, what you're assuming a person is thinking might not be what it is. So,
Right.
we're not talking to people for them to agree with our story. That's your story. You're speaking your truth. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And can't nobody take that away from you. So
Yes.
I think that's one thing that I found interesting was I go through stuff every day, but I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about other people. Even
Yeah.
going through what I'm going through, I'm still worried about other people. So
Yes.
it was kind of interesting on my part because so many people would say, "Man, you got so much going on, and you just smile every day. You got a good spirit, you got a good heart, and you still out here caring about everybody else. You don't even care about
Mhm.
too much of what you're going through." And today was kind of that opportunity for me to not say that I'm going through the worst or been through the worst or experienced the most traumatic things in my life. I made it out of a bunch of bad situations, but it's more so to sit here and comfort other people,
Yes.
and help you on your journey as well, which
Yes.
is why I even contacted you. So I think, for the experience, it'll be a great one. And
Yes.
for the people listening, it'll also be like a, a therapeutic thing. So
Yes.
um, my biggest thing is just continuing to put meaningful words behind people that don't have that person to help them. Because
Yes.
at the end of the day, that a simple hello, how you doing today, can change a person's life forever.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
like you was touching on, it's always you was at the right place at the right time.
Right.
If more people will realize all you have to do is walk out your house today when you was procrastinating for the whole day, I ain't going outside. I ain't going out. Just walk outside. Maybe that one person that come drop your mail off and be the person that changed your life forever. So
Yes.
we do cross people for a reason at different times in our lives for certain things. One thing I believe in is watering plants. Sometimes you meet people, they're not supposed to be there forever. They're just here to water your seed and pass you to the next. So
Yes.
um we are all seeds and we all are still growing. And as long as you keep doing that, you'll be okay. But don't stop the person in your life that you meet from watering your seed. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Um,
Yes.
take it all in account as a positive. Stop looking at so much negative. Instead of saying my glass is half empty, it's half full. You know,
Yes.
and I think that's one thing that I strive to do every day is make sure somebody understand you almost there. Not
Hmm.
this is what I don't have. This is what I'm not gonna be. Like you
Right.
almost there. So whatever journey you on, whatever walk of life you come from, is gonna be okay, and you're gonna
Hmm.
be you're gonna be arriving to your abundant joy soon. So um
So I want to back up just a little bit of what you said there.
mhm,
Well, actually two things. One thing is with your kids. I love what you said about how you're raising your kids. And what I really love that you said is you remember how you felt, right?
right.
And you don't want your kids to feel like that. And to be able to let them show their emotions and things like that. I'm actually listening to another podcast right now that Ed Milet's interviewing a man, and he's talking about just that and how at first he had this boot camp for kids, and they were like, yelling at him and screaming at him, and it was getting nowhere. The kids were just being defiant. And then he changed it around to where he was being, like giving them praise and all of this for the things they were doing. And he said the turnaround was amazing. And I think that's huge when, as a parent, especially, I believe me, there's times that I wish I could take back things that I said to my son when he was young, and I can't. And I love, he's 32 now. And so we talk about it, but I think that's very important with your kids. And I just think that's awesome the way that you say that you're raising your kids. I think that's pretty important.
Because that's where it starts. So what I want people to understand is a child is very intelligent. They're also a sponge of everything around them. I won't just say words. I'll say emotions.
Yes.
Everything that's around them. They're a sponge to that. So you are, it has to be a great influence to build that thing up. Because
Right.
if whatever you're sowing in that person, you'll see later in life.
Right.
And I think that that's the most important thing is putting positivity in them now and speaking affirmations into them now, because
Yes.
that's your future. These kids
Hmm.
are our future.
Yes.
So what you put in, you will get out of them. And I think if you tell a child like you always criticizing the child, eventually they just look for the criticism. They don't look for the positive no more.
Right.
And um I think giving a child space to make their own decisions to a certain extent is more so even better, because if you enable a child for too long, you stuck still trying to teach them with when it's too late.
Yes.
Um, and if you do it now, they kind of, give them a little space, not too much with how crazy the world is, but give them
Right.
enough space to where their confidence is being built
Mm.
off of their decisions, and they
Yes.
understand that by making this decision, I'll get this outcome, and making this decision, I'll get this outcome. So it's not that I'm telling you because I know how it's gonna go for you, but I'm
Right.
encouraging you, when I am parenting, that this might not be the best decision, or this not just sitting there slandering them and telling them, oh, this, cussing them
Right.
and doing the crazy stuff that people do. But so yeah, I give my kids that space to kind of like see where their decisions are going to get them, and
Hmm.
I encourage it when it's good. Like, you know, there we go, we doing good. You almost
Yeah.
there. We almost
Yeah.
there, because that'll build their confidence, and you know with anything you do it up, going up from there, it'll start at, you know, young ages. And that's the
Yes.
most crucial part of a whole life. Like your whole
Yeah.
life probably came from your childhood, something you
Yeah.
learned in your childhood. You know,
Yeah.
the I call it survival mode. I was living in survival mode for a long time, so it don't matter who I came in contact with, what I was being told. I was already in that mode to where I'm just here to survive. I wasn't actually
Mhm.
living. You know, I understood what my decisions were going to get me, but I was already in survival mode. So it was like, you know, like I don't know if I can explain the feeling of feeling um, a negligent feeling naturally. Like you not even remembering how you grew this survival mode stage in your life because it happened so young that you know you can't recall it, but it was a natural thing for me, and I kind of was just living in survival mode for a long time, and I
Yeah.
was ready to break out of that after 29 years of just feeling complete. You know, this is what I do to survive. I want to see how it feels to live. I want to
Yes.
see how it feels to embrace my emotions. So with it being so late for me, that's why I give it to my kids. I want y'all to feel like, you know, you're actually living, you actually are comfortable where you at, you are actually accepted, you know.
Yes.
And you know, a lot of the positive is what I speak to them, because I don't want you to go through the negative. I'm not
Hmm.
saying that in life you're not going to experience that,
Right.
but you know, I want you to enjoy this time that you
Yeah.
have as a young person, because that's where it starts at. So
Hmm. That's
building,
awesome.
you know, I try to talk to a lot of kids. I've been talking to kids, teenagers, adults, outside of my own kids for a long time. Even as a
Mhm.
kid, when I finally woke up and felt like this was something that I was equipped to do, as far as, you know, just sharing advice, and a lot of people would gravitate to me. So it was hard to make a consistent group of friends because I was cool with everybody. You know, everybody wanted
Right.
to get
Yeah.
some hope. So um, that's kind of what got me through. Like sharing my story was therapeutic for myself, and I was
Mhm.
like, you know what, I'm gonna keep doing this, because
Mhm.
to an extent, not everybody has a bad life. They just make a couple bad decisions and think it's over with. And that's not always
Right.
the case. So sometimes they have insight on my decision or on in my life, and it's like, dang, I thought I had it bad, but you really have it worse. And you're not complaining about it. You're making the most of it. And you know, that's when we hit a peak. So once we hit that peak, I can leave you with that, and you can have something to think about. Now, it's not to
Yeah.
discredit the situation or make it seem like it wasn't anything, but it's like to see the attitude that someone carries,
Mhm.
even experiencing trauma, and you're still happy, you still smile, you
Right.
still have this bright energy around you, you still
Mhm.
receive in abundance. You know, it's like I want to be like that, because I was going to let something small get to me when all I had to do was change my outlook on things, change the perspective. And in my life, I'm not gonna say I was just the worst person ever, but I came from a walk of life that was like iffy. You know, I could have went one way or the other with it, and I
Mhm.
continued to go straight. And I think that that's one thing in my whole entire, you know, story that I had to change the narrative on. The hardest part of my life was changing the narrative. I felt like everywhere I went, I was the black sheep. Um, I was touching trouble. I was like the first person to the trouble. You know what I'm saying? I was the first person in a bad situation. I was just the less fortunate anywhere I went. You know what I'm saying? So I was
Mhm.
like, I'm gonna change how people look at me. I'm gonna change the narrative. And
Mhm.
my story ended where it started. It was kind of like changing the narrative. And I, you know, I kind of like let that old me go, and I created a
Yes.
new one. So who y'all talking with today is like, you know, the new and improved 2.0 version of who I was. But I never
Right.
discredit him, because he taught me so much of who I am today. And it helps
Mhm.
other people become who they're going to be in the future. You know what I'm saying? And one of my slogans is whatever you do today will affect tomorrow. So just make sure it's the best decision for you when you make it. You know, and
Yes.
don't be scared to go out on the ledge and grow. Don't be scared to
Yeah.
grow, and don't be scared to outgrow things that you grew into. Um,
Mhm.
one thing about evolving is, you know, you'll never stay in the same place forever. So, um,
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I even had the opportunity to sit here and talk to you on your
I'm
podcast this
I'm
morning.
I'm beyond grateful. I'm like, I'm so happy I handed him that card on that patio.
Yeah, because I mean that was something that bothered me for a while, and I was like, I need to reach out. I need to really reach out and talk to her because I like your whole your mission statement and what you striving for, and I think that's important just to have somebody, just feel like you came to talk to me. That boosted my mental support, so it's good for others as well because I mean, like I
Yes.
said, it's not too many people out here that's just reaching out, just trying,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then when you have that, it's like, okay, I can make it through today. And just because I made it through today, tomorrow I hit my gold mine. And now we're here, now we here. We
Yes.
made it. Finally made it.
Yeah. And the other thing that I wanted to touch on a little bit that you talked about, and then I want to talk about your business a little bit. I like to give people plugs on what they're doing in life, but I when you were talking about it's okay to get counseling, it's okay to talk to people.
Hmm.
A lot of times I think that when we don't do that, and everybody has this, it's our ego, right? And
Yeah,
our ego gets in our way so much in life. I like to say a saying, edging God out with ego, edging God out. And but that's what I've really been working on a lot too, because you get going and your ego's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you really have to humble ourselves, right? So I just like the fact that you said that, because I feel like that's a big part of it is people let your ego down and go talk to people and go get yourself help if you need it. It's very important.
it is. So that can also be. Let's see what we can touch on. That can also be like a not an antisocial trait, but it can be something more like like for one, we're so worried about others. So
Hmm.
that's one thing that's stopping you because you like. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've talked to somebody and then they judge you based off of what
Oh yeah.
information they have, and they use that ammo against you later on in life. And it's
Hmm.
all to bring you down. So eventually, you just close yourself in a shell and you say, no matter how depressed I get, no matter how down I get, no matter how bad this situation is, I won't release this information because I feel like, or I've learned from experience that somebody's only going to use this information to hurt me. So you eventually
Hmm.
close up in the shell and you keep it to yourself for however long, you going through that situation. And that's pretty much what happens with a lot of people, so it's like, that's why we're here because at the end of the day, you have to get it out. You have to get it out one way or the other, whether you write it down and burn it or you
Right.
talk to somebody else about it, and preferably somebody that you do trust with information that of whatever sorts that you're going through in your lifestyle. Nobody's perfect, but we can all strive to be great.
Yes.
So
Yes.
anything that you're doing in your life has to contribute to being great, and you know only from there it gets better. It doesn't get worse. You know what I'm saying? Like, you never went from a bad situation and got put in a worse situation. You might have
Right.
got you
Right.
might have missed out on a lot of situations, but you're right where you need to be at the moment for everything that you receive,
Mhm.
whether that be a lesson or
Mhm.
or a blessing. You know what I'm saying? And I
Yes.
think um it's like the food chain. You take one thing out, you affect everything else. So us trying to stop so many things in our life sometimes is what affect our blessings because
Mhm.
they're imperative to the process. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And I don't want people to think that, I'm not saying just run out there and get your hands into everything, but some things happen for a reason. A lot of them do. And a lot of
Yes.
them are, very important to your growth, both
Yes.
sides, good and bad,
Mhm.
and so not everything that we look at is going to be forever. um Pain is temporary.
Yes.
It's just about staying tough through that tough time. you
Yes.
know um it never rained forever nowhere. So
No,
the
no.
sun gotta
And
shine. you know
that's right. Sun's got to shine sometime, right?
it got
And
to.
the thing is, another thing that you said that I thought was pretty cool is well, not cool, but when you talk about people's problems and how you start sharing yours and they share theirs, and then you're like, oh, I'll take mine back. And that's what they say. You take all your problems, everybody around you, you throw them in a big pile, And I guarantee you're going to run back and grab yours back, because there are so many people that have it so much worse than what we do. And well, now I mean, I'm truly, I mean, not, my life isn't all rainbows and unicorns. I talk about that all the time. It's not, but now I've learned how to get through the struggles to get to the strengths. Right. And I think that the biggest thing with that is, like you said earlier, learning how to get through them, not just going in a corner and hiding and being like, I can't get through this day. Yes, you can. You have to get your feet on the floor, get in that mirror, say affirmations to yourself or
Mhm.
something, and listen to a motivational video, do something, listen to Hope podcasts, listen to Tim Holloway's story, because that could be the day that you say, I'm changing my life today, and get up and just go do it,
And that's
you know?
sometimes all it takes. We come from, when I say walk of life, we come from different cities, different states, different just different environments. So it's like you try to touch everybody emotionally, because emotionally that's where we're all human at. That's where you're not robotic at. That's where you're not, built at. That's something that's true, it's pure. It's not something that can be altered by somebody else, because they're never gonna change. That's your pure truth right there in your heart. So
Yes.
um, when I say walk of life, it's kind of just trying to reach everybody, because, I come from a small town where at the time it was bad. I witnessed a lot of stuff. But then this person over here might be dealing with the same emotional problems, and they only been grade A their whole life. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it really don't matter your walk of life. It's just an emotional thing. Like, we have to tap in to the emotional side. And like you said, a lot of men can't do that, because we were forced to be the rock. And when you
Right.
constantly somebody rock, what happens when you break? You have nobody to turn to, because everybody like, look, man, we were just using you for the rock, but we don't
Right.
really have nothing for you. We just know you was somebody we came and took from. But a lot of times, I want to remind people that when you're going to your rock or your safe place, um, deposit deposit something into it, because
Yes.
you can't go to a bank and pull money out of account you never put something in. You never put none in, you always want something back. So I would
Yes.
say we want to pull a lot of things like comfort, and a lot of things like affirmations, and a lot of things like, you know um resources from something, but we don't feed it enough. We don't
Yes.
feed it enough to where, um, this is now it's healthy for it to keep giving. We pull from
Yes.
stuff and we don't give back to it. So I think for those people that are supportive for you and are, on a constant basis supporting your emotional, whether it be positive or negative, give back to it in any way possible.
Yes.
Um,
That's
whether
awesome.
that be just a shoulder when that person fall down, or a different route to take when you having a bad day. You gotta help. Everybody gotta help everybody, and that's the only way it's gonna work out. No matter the race, no matter the color, no matter the age, state, environment, it don't matter. We gotta help each other. So, um,
Yes. Good
love,
words.
yeah, love is something that has to be more than hate. It has to be.
Yes.
And right now, it's like, either I don't want to see the next person doing better than me, or you are assuming that the person feels like they're better than you, when all you have to do is say, "Hey, how you doing today?" And you realize that person was really having a bad day before you asked them how they was doing. But since you asked them, now
Yes.
we're having a better day because somebody want to listen. You
Yes.
know. So I think
Yes.
that's
For sure.
important for us to do initially, is not judge. Just don't judge. You go
Yeah.
outside, keep a clear mind. Stay open.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of like, be more
Like,
positive.
yeah, because we just don't know. I talk about
You
that
don't.
all
You
the
don't know.
time. We don't know what somebody's going through that day, or, that minute, even that 1 minute they could have gotten a phone call and hung up the phone, and it could have been a devastating or a sad phone call. And you just said hi and smiled. And they said, thank you. I appreciate that. I needed that right now. We just don't know.
I mean, I've
So,
had so many situations where, you see somebody, and you talking to them at that particular moment, and you see
mhm,
their mood change. You see the glow around them just come back, and it's like, wow. I didn't
yeah,
think that, just based off of me not even trying to care about what you really had going on, but me just being a person of interest, or a person that was reaching out to you just to see how your day was going was gonna make you change your mind on whatever you had planned that wasn't gonna make it go any better. So it's like witnessing that time and time again, and I've gotten it countless amounts of times. And you really helped me out. You are, just words of kindness, but it make you realize that maybe this is a tool that can be used with everybody, because it's not just one specific person that I talk to where they've ever been like, oh, this only works for this type of person. It works for everybody.
Right.
And despite what we go through in life, be a human first.
Hmm.
Don't be a product of your situation. Don't let
Yes.
that don't let that influence who you really are on the inside. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's something that I had to learn just going through it. I used to hate stuff just like everybody else. I hate this. I hate that. I hate that I got to experience this. Then I started taking it as a learning curve every time I got into something. So I know at one point in time it was like, man, we can't even throw nothing at this dude because he already ready for it. He equipped for it. Like he expected this to come. And I started
Yeah.
taking it and taking out the positive and throwing the rest back out there, because I don't need all of that. So it's like,
Right.
if it worked for me, I'm not saying it'll work for everybody, because, we are vessels of strength for others. And
Hmm.
that I do believe. So, I kind of dissect what I need out of every situation, and I throw the negative away because there's no point in
Yeah.
keeping everything. Um, and,
Yeah.
kind of like that's where I get it influences everybody around me, and I want to be the very best version of myself to anybody I encounter,
Yes.
on a daily basis. So
Yeah.
I think besides trying to run a business, besides being a supporting dad, besides playing the game or
Right.
anything else other than um this right here, this is something that's probably like consistent all the way across the board every day. Like this person
Yeah.
is who I work on every day. So it's like that's what I
Hmm.
appreciate about it, and that's what I try to give to other people. And I
Right.
have down days too, don't get me wrong, we all do. But when you have an
Yeah.
understanding that this too shall pass, you just weather the storm and just
Yeah.
keep in there for the long haul, and don't let
Right.
nothing, get past that understanding. Don't let that walk down your wall of faith. Don't let a
Mm.
bad day knock down your wall of faith today.
Yeah. I
Um,
have to say, when you said about the negativity and you said, like you would say, I hate that I got to do that. Like, let's just say, I hate that I got to go to work. And you could turn that around and say, I love that I get to work. You have to
because
turn
without the
that mindset
situations
around
that
with things like that and turn
yeah,
it into a positive.
without the good without the bad situations, you wouldn't know how good you had it. Because as a human, we're comfortable when we get into a certain financial state, or we get into a certain like we grew up saying, I want a big house. Then you get a big house, and getting a big house didn't feel how you thought it would feel when you said it. When you said it, you made it, it felt like it would be more grand and more genuine. When you got it, it was just like that pair of shoes that you've been wearing for 3 years, and
Yeah.
now it's just another pair of shoes. It's just another materialistic object. So it's like a lot of times we use that as far as supporting our wants, but you don't really need it. So it's like, with
Right.
that being said, most of the stuff that you need to have equipped is mental, emotional. Not to say that do something that doesn't support your lifestyle, because I want you to have somewhere to stay and stuff like that, but don't go above your means to get something that you did not need in the first place to drive your mental up a wall. Because at the
Yes.
end of the day, that's all you're gonna do. Live within your means and live within your mental means.
Hmm.
Because a lot of
It's
stuff we
good.
put on ourselves by saying, "Oh, I want this" or "I want that." You don't need it. You just want it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
think we can acquire a lot of debt by doing that, and that's another whole another topic.
Oh,
But
no, that's a whole nother podcast.
whole another podcast for a different day. But
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
before you go to work, who are you when you wake up? Before you go to sleep, who
Yes.
are you? These people
Yes.
are the same people you're carrying to work, and have to deal with these same situations that you might have been better in had you woke up with a understanding of who you really were today, instead of being
Yes.
who they need you to be every day. So it's like When you come to
Yes.
terms with that, and you finally accept who you are, now your work is where you want to work, not where you need to work. Now you're
Yes.
doing something in your life that's your passion and not because you have to do it. So it's all contributing to your lifestyle, your mental and your physical and your uh who you are. It contributes to your everyday. Like, I'm doing this brought me here. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Without
Yes.
me facing who I am today, I wouldn't be on your podcast. So
Exactly.
I think that with life itself, when you wake up, you have to keep it honest with yourself. You can't lie to yourself. You can't tell yourself you're somebody you're not. All you can do is be
Right.
you, and be the best
Yes.
version of that. And I think if we do that, we have a lot less complications with somebody having a mental breakdown every 5 days because they're still
Yes.
going through identity crisis.
Yes.
You
Yes.
for one, you're at work having a bad day because this ain't even where you're supposed to be working at.
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
you go to school, you don't like what you learning. This ain't what you supposed. This ain't the class you're supposed to be in. So it's
Right.
like
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
everything you
That
do in
happens
your
a
life.
lot.
A lot. I mean, think about it. You go to work, you see somebody having a bad day. Now, in your mind, you like, I might have an attitude, but I'm not like this guy. He over here flipping over tables. Well,
Right.
this guy might not even have a passion for what he's doing. He just doing it because mom told him that this is what he was supposed to be doing, or dad told him that this is what you have to do. So he grew up thinking that. Now you
Yes.
have somebody who thinks for themselves, and you give somebody the freedom. Now we're gonna back it up. Now, as a child, if I encourage you to do what's right for you, you won't be out here trying to live my life that I never lived. I
Yes.
wouldn't sit there and say like, hey, you need to be a pharmacy tech, and that's the only way you're gonna make it out. That's the only way you're gonna make some money. That's the only way you're gonna be stable. And this child grow up like, well, anything else outside of pharmacy tech, I won't be accepted in my own household. There's a lot of
Right.
people out there that's like that, and it's like that's not always the case. So a lot of what I do, it just contributes to my whole lifestyle, like who I want to be and who I think other people would want to be around.
Yes. Yes.
So
So,
shining light on a lot of situations that people think nobody knows is like the most important part of this, because it's like we know, we understand. There's some people out here that really care, really listen, and it's not a lot of I'm gonna say we all have opinions, but it's not a lot of over judgmental people with opinions.
yeah.
It's more so
Yes.
like we're gonna try something new every time until we get it right. No matter the
Yes.
person, no matter the place, we're gonna keep trying. So I think
Yes.
uh I think my story, like I said, it's not the most extravagant, but it's to me the most extravagant part about it is that I'm still here, because the odds were already against me from the beginning. So it's like the fact that we started here and the odds was against me, and I got this far without crashing and burning was the most important. It means a lot to me. So if I can overcome adversity on my journey that I really had no vision of in the first place, and I made one, come true, I can help other people do that, and I can give
Yes.
somebody else the motivation to want to say, you know what, I had a little route that I wanted to take, but I just didn't have the confidence, or I came from a certain place where I could make the most of it, but I'm over here talking about what I don't got too much, so it's
Right.
like, sometimes and I really hope that it touches somebody somewhere, somehow,
Oh,
even if
it
it's just
will.
a, yeah, that's all I'm worried about. So I was here to
Yes.
tell a story, but I'm also, um, as you can see, I'm still just worried about it touching somebody else. As
Yes.
far as
Yes. And that's
so.
what that's exactly what this whole thing this is what this is all about for me is just what you just said. Hoping that my story, your story, somebody else's story, and I like the fact that I do different stories of hope, different stories of struggles. I don't do just addiction or, I've talked to somebody that has cancer. I've spoke to somebody that's paralyzed. I try to be the big picture because it's not just people with addiction that struggle. There's so many other struggles out there, but there's so much hope out there. So that's going to lead me right into, and we'll finish this up then, that you have your own business now, correct? And you live in Georgia?
Correct.
Yes. How long have you had your business?
So this is another one of those things where people will be interested in. So I worked for, I'm only 29, but when I was 18, I got into the union, and then I had a job that paid me like $15 an hour. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. But then something told me like this is not enough. I had one of those it's not enough moments, and I was like, dang, it's not enough. Well, the journey on that started the day I said this is not enough, because I lost that job, and then I was searching like crazy, but I was searching for another job that paid that $15, and I never found it. So I'm like, dang, like I just went from $15 to 7, and I was complaining about the 15. But at the time, it still wasn't enough. So I'm
Mm.
like, okay. Fast forward 10 years later, I was kind of like in and out with a job, and I was having a real bad experience with the job, and I was like, when I look back at everything I went through from the time I had that first job to then, which was like 10 years later, I said, man, this whole journey was equipping me to be my own boss, and that's exactly what I said 10 years ago. And it's funny how it worked out, because at the time I didn't see it. I was just like, man, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. I'm not supposed to be here. Why am I here? And still trying to survive. So it's like, um, the biggest thing that I could say is when you speak it into the universe, you have then put yourself in preparation for it to appear.
Yes.
And
Yes.
at the time, we might not see it like that, but that's how it happens. So when you one thing about me is when I set a goal and I set it high, everything I go through is just a temporary phase, because it's a process. Everything is a growing process. And I think that with that being like that, you have to wait it out. Like I put my car in the shop for a little bit longer because it needed a little more. It needed a little more work. I can accept
Yes.
that. So but yeah, so my business started by me taking my leap of faith and just saying I want to do something for myself that makes me happy. And I waited for like a year, and I struggled, and I just kind of waited it out. And when I was finally able to get all the paperwork together, that's what I did. And I actually had I would say somebody inspired me to do it by just asking me to do something for them, and I was like, I can get paid from that. So I created a business behind it, and made it official to where I can feed my family off of those funds. So, um, yeah, like, and then after that happened, like I said, you still hit rocks in the road, but it just creates more opportunity for where you're supposed to be and where you want to be in life. And I think that
Yes.
that's the most important part, is not letting what you go through defeat you. You know,
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
still here. We still
Yes.
here, and we're gonna make tomorrow a better
That's
day.
right. That's right.
Starting with today.
That's right. So, as you know, I'm planning on doing the 50 States of Hope and
That's
definitely
exciting.
coming to Georgia.
That
So,
is
I know when I
exciting.
come to Georgia, we will be speaking again. And
Definitely.
I definitely, like we talked, would like to do like even go speak somewhere to kids or something. So we'll get that all planned. But I just want to say I appreciate you jumping on here. Is there anything last words you'd like to say on here or any
So
inspiration?
since it's on the record, I want to congratulate you for starting your journey and
Oh, thank
having enough strength to, go on a path that not many even try to take. So, I think that's big, because I wouldn't know where to start trying to travel to 50 states, trying to encourage
you.
somebody
Yeah.
when, in your, the pressure from that is real. It's not just an unpressurized journey where you're like, oh, I don't feel any stress or journey, or, pressure from people, because I'm scared of what people might think of me when I go to this place or that place or the third. So I think that you are overcoming a lot too by just going forward, and that's the most important thing. Don't stop. Just keep going. So that's my message
Thank
to you.
you.
Just keep going no matter what happens along the way, because you don't know how many more people you can save, just having them know that they can go somewhere to talk or share or give inspiration to other people. And I think you did a good thing by creating hope.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And like I said, I appreciate you jumping on here and we will chat again soon, okay?
Yes.
Everybody have an amazing day.